Yes indeed, for those of you who don't know, I have a particular fondness of the CG animated musical series Donkey Kong Country. Mostly because although continuity is rather different in this show, as with most other video game spin-offs, a few elements from the show would work their way into the games, particularly DK64, where Cranky Kong mixes potions like he does in the show, and the crystal coconut is a valuable item, though not the holy grail like here. In fact, I got into DK64 around the time I got into the show. But I digress. We're here to recap the top 5 best episodes of this show, and I think it's fair to do a list of runners-up for this show too. In fact, I dare even say it's inevitable.
What's 5? That's okay, take it down!
Bad Hair Day was the very first episode of the Donkey Kong Country show. Now, before I go any further, I should point out that the show was originally made in France, and the episode layout they had there was much different than that in the US, with I Spy with My Hairy Eye being the first episode instead of this. Yeah, in the US, the episode layout was much more sloppy. This is the true first episode. How does that make it one of the best? I'll tell you after the story. After his latest defeat with Donkey Kong, King K.Rool, DK's archenemy, reads up on a curse that involves cutting someone's hair while chanting the magic words, leaving that person utterly powerless. I know, original idea, right? But the only person who will get close enough to DK to cut his hair is his girlfriend Candy Kong. Enter Candy Clone, a robotic replica of Candy Kong. She cuts DK's hair and the depowering works like a charm, leaving you-know-who to get the crystal coconut. It's up to Cranky Kong to cook up an antidote to the curse. Okay, so how is the first episode one of the best? Well, it begins with Cranky telling us, the viewers, all about the show. Who the good guy is, who the bad guy is, and what the crystal coconut can do. As I said before, the crystal coconut is pretty much the holy grail in this show, a prize everyone's after, to the point where Cranky actually introduces the crystal coconut like you were a contestant in a game show.
It's magical, it's mysterious, it's the 8.5 wonder of the world, the crystal coconut!
Having a character tell us why this item is so valuable is the only logical thing to do in order for its fans to go, oh, that's why it's such a big deal. And not just any character, but the perfect one for the job. In the games, a few of the characters, and especially Cranky, like to destroy the fourth wall. To have him do it here, again, works like a charm. Plus, Cranky has a reputation for being the most wise and respected ape on the island, so that makes it work too. There are a couple of other things I need to say about this episode too. One is the villain's pronunciation. Nobody was ever actually heard to pronounce his name in the games before the show. But for most of the show, it's pronounced K.Rool, while if you saw his name alone, you'd say it was pronounced K.Rool. It's only in this episode that they pronounce it K.Rool, and they only do it 3 times.
King K.Rool! Oh, hail King K.Rool!
It's so cool to work for King K.Rool.
And then for the rest of the show, they pronounce it K.Rool. Since I didn't exactly see this episode first, I was always used to pronouncing it K.Rool and not K.Rool. So sue me. The other thing I need to talk about this episode is Crush Up. In his debut in this episode, he seems more intelligent than he does for the rest of the show.
Oh, you're tickling me. Uh-oh, I didn't get it back. Back in a jiffy. Back again. Once was not enough. What are you gonna do this time? Coconut?
Yeah, pretty spooky, isn't it? He's pretty intelligent in my number 4 pick as well, but that's coming up next. To sum up, this is a great way to start the series, and if they'd kept the episodes more organized in the US and have this come first, well, I think DK put it best.
I'm blown away. Totally. Yeesh.
Speed is one of those episodes that's fondly regarded by fans, and for a while, I didn't get why. It's awesome, don't get me wrong, but why do people like it so much? Well, watching it in better quality, I found it's not just awesome, it's friggin' awesome. Clump accidentally runs into Crusher with K.Rool's fastest minecart. This results in a surprise increase in Crush's intelligence, changing him from
Maybe he got the big hand and the little hand on the clock mixed up. I do.
that to a very dangerous, very smart, and very scary supervillain.
It's time for me to now demonstrate the sheer genius of my incredibly superior intellect by executing a brilliant new plan that will allow me to do the following. 1. Procure the crystal coconut. 2. Do away with those babbling baboons. 3. Take over the world.
He attaches a bomb on K.Rool's fastest minecart that is set to explode if it stops. Again, very original. It was intended for Donkey Kong, but Diddy and Dixie Kong end up in the cart instead. And the rest of the show is a cluster of fast-paced minecart chases to save Diddy and Dixie. A lot of people not only seem to talk about Crush's new personality in this episode, but also like to see it as his true personality. And to be honest, I can see why. In DK64, Crush is a hidden playable character in the multiplayer mode of the game. Without him, the multiplayer matches involve Kongs trying to kill each other, which, yeah, just say that out loud. The main objective of multiplayer mode is for the Kong family to kill each other. Well, you can guess the problem. Throw Crush under the ring, though, and the tedious search for those banana fairies will be worth it. Unlike in the Super NES game, Crush appears to be a singular character, just like in the show, and to have the opportunity to both take him on and play as him in this game is indeed a real treat. And naturally, I thought he was tough and awesome. The reason I bring this up is because it's kind of what this episode reminds me of. As I said before, certain aspects from the show make their way into the games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got the idea of a singular, dangerous Crusher from this episode, or even this show for that matter. Crusher had his intelligent moments outside this episode and Bad Hair Day too.
Treasure contains a secret doomsday device, capable of destroying the whole island. Any fool could see that. Do you know what that means?
The apes will have supreme domination over Congo Bongo and probably turn us into matching luggage.
He does have his moments.
But this is the episode where Crusher was the most feared. He manages to outwit the entire cast, even to the point where K.Rool is terrified of him. Yikes!
Any recollection of why I'm referred to as Crusher?
I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just awesome. If you're a fan of Crusher, I'd say this episode is definitely worth your time.
I like evil. I like evil. I love evil.
Evil.
Touching, I may cry, don't you see? Do I hear 3?
3, let him drop and then we'll see. 3, make him diddy frenzy.
So many of us are familiar with the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life. The story about a man who wishes he was never born but changes his mind after his guardian angel shows him what life would be like without him. Then you have the Donkey Kong Country episode of the same name. This puts DK in the exact same position. He too wishes he was never born, but changed his mind after his guardian angel shows him what life would be like without him. This episode was made in Season 2, as the entirely different CG indicates, so by then, fans would probably be totally familiar with the characters and the personalities. And I have to say, it was really interesting to see all these characters and different personalities and having different reputations on the island. Some of these changes are shockingly wrong, but others give a really great what-if vibe. One shockingly wrong change that I must especially point out is Candy Kong being married to Bluster Kong, who for obvious reasons I never enjoyed, even as a kid.
Oh, Candy, you know I need you now more than ever.
I just didn't find him that awesome, I didn't find him that lovable. His design wasn't that unique to me. But Candy's heart belongs to DK and that's all that matters. I don't know, I was always waiting for DK to smash his skull. Another change I didn't care for was the crystal coconut not being the holy grail in this universe. Instead we have, and bear with me here, the paper mache lily pad. Yeah, a lily pad, people! Because that's much more valuable than the crystal coconut, right? I remember the first time I saw this episode, I was thinking, oh for God's sake, the paper mache lily pad? Really? How can anybody take that name so seriously?
The paper mache lily pad shall never fall into your evil hands.
So okay, I griped about the bad stuff long enough. What changes did I like in this new universe? Well, for the lameness of the lily pad idea, it was nice to see the once evil King K.Rool be the one to protect it, much like how DK protects the crystal coconut.
You'll never get the lily pad from us. We'll protect it with every scale on our bodies.
Also, they made a weirdly accurate choice in making the guardian angel Eddie the mean old Yeti. Oh, I'm sorry, Eddie the guardian angel Yeti. Why do I think this is accurate? Well, It's a Wonderful Life was originally a Christmas movie, so to have a Yeti be the guardian angel, yeah, I never realized how well that fits until I wrote for this video. But by far my favorite change that they made was Diddy as the evil villain, with Cranky and Funky Kong as his miserable slaves. His goal is to take the paper-mache lily pad for himself, much like how King K.Rool wanted to take the crystal coconut for himself.
You vociferous orangutan! Next time you fail to bring me the paper-mache lily pad, you can bring me your head on a platter instead!
Yes, King Diddy.
I've come up with the most fiendishly clever plan to steal the lily pad and destroy the crocodiles!
It makes me wonder how they could spice up this world if they put Dixie in there and make her Diddy's evil queen. That'd be cool. Evil Diddy's already awesome, and as expected, he was the highlight of the episode for me. In that sense, I should think Diddy would be great to take on in DK64's multiplayer mode. I don't know what his beef is, but he just kills me.
We're nefarious bad guys bent on stealing the lily pad and turning this island into our evil empire! We don't have time for pretty!
Sorry, boss.
It's a great episode with a great what-if scenario and a great villain. And the moral of the story is, don't be angry with Donkey Kong, unless you play the arcade game.
Only 500 more points to beat your record, you crush.
Come on, come on!